Hey there, guys. You're listening to Yakkin with Nick. I am your host, and let's yak. I want to talk about Thanksgiving today. Some of my audience is not from the U.S., and you may not have Thanksgiving in those countries and in those cultures that were not started by Puritan pilgrims. I've got a cat in here, guys. I'm sorry you can hear her, Mildred. She is just crawling all over the place, all over my stuff, just trying to be annoying and jumping on me and scratching me while I'm trying to record a podcast. I've tried to record a couple times, but she interrupts me and started over. But this is going to be a short one, so it doesn't really matter how many times I do it because it's pretty quick. It does matter because that does take up. Anyway, she's leaving me alone now. Let's see how far I can go before she comes at me again. I want to talk about Thanksgiving. Yeah. I was talking. Yeah, some people are out of the U.S. You don't know what Thanksgiving is? Well, I don't know the history very well of Thanksgiving. When I was in school, we learned that the Pilgrims came from England and settled down, and this would have been the Puritan Pilgrims. Settled down and learned how to farm from the natives, and then as they were so thankful that they saved them from starving in the winter, that they had a feast together, and that the Indians and the Pilgrims celebrated Thanksgiving every year after that. But lately, there's been quite a bit of controversy on if that is the true story. My guess is it's not. The Puritans were not very nice people. They probably did not like the natives, and probably were like, "Yeah, we need to kill these people. We have firearms and smallpox disease, so let's kill this tribe out." And I guess the thing that happened was that they according to some historians is that they killed them. They just killed the natives, and then when they came back after their battle, they had a feast and called it Thanksgiving, and then started celebrating after that. I don't know how true that story is. How much violence happened? Who started this? I don't know. It's a bummer that anybody died. And of course, I have a bias against the Puritans and the English settlers maybe that came across from Europe. So my guess is they probably killed some Indians, and that's not cool. And that's too bad that this great holiday has that beginning. But I do think it is a great American tradition to celebrate giving thanks, because that to me is what's important about Thanksgiving, is expressing gratitude and getting to share that gratitude with the people around you, the people that you care about. And that's what I'm excited about for Thanksgiving, and that's why I try to keep in my mind when I'm thinking about Thanksgiving is all the things I'm grateful for. I always try to do that, I guess. I wouldn't say I always try, but when I'm giving an opportunity to, or maybe I should say this, when I'm not feeling grateful about stuff, I try pretty hard to be grateful. Most of the time I take things just for granted, and then, sometimes I really don't like things. So I really don't like things. I try to be like, hey, wait, Nick, nah, things are great. Be grateful for this, not be upset about this. And I guess today I just want to go over some of the things that I'm grateful for and talk a little bit about gratitude and practicing gratitude, because I think it's a pretty important thing to be in practice with. I think that it's very easy as humans to get caught up in negative emotions and a negative mindset, thinking that things are going wrong and that they'll never go right, and that woe is me. I've been there a few times. It's very easy to fall into those traps, and I really don't like them. I have since, with my experience, I've come to like those, or come to dislike not liking things. Not being grateful, being in a negative mindset, thinking that my situation in life is poor, because it's not. I'm a pretty blessed person, and I've lived a pretty great life so far, and I really don't have much to be ungrateful about. I have quite a bit to be grateful for, so I try to recognize that, because that usually helps, and usually, because sometimes shit's just not going good, and it's like, yeah, no matter what you say, this is bad right now, it needs to fix, and I'm not going to feel good until it's fixed. but most of the time, there's, little things happen, like, somebody said no to buying yak meat, or maybe my car doesn't work, or, pigs are getting sick. I don't know. I'm just coming up with random stuff. My pigs aren't sick, but two of those are real situations that are, well, I don't know. The car works. But anyway, these are things that have happened to me. And, these are just random examples, I guess. But I think it's powerful to, take a look at those things and be like, yeah, I mean, my car doesn't work. I need that for transportation. And that means if it's not working, I have to borrow somebody else's vehicle, or I don't get to go anywhere. So that takes away some of my freedom, and it sucks. But I also have my own vehicle. Some people don't have that. I also have an opportunity to learn how to work on cars because it's not working. Hey, I get to figure out what's going on and how to fix it. It's a learning opportunity. Somebody said no to yak meat. Well, now I learned what, it takes to get a no. I learned somebody who, hey, this is not good for their business. They don't want it right now. I'm grateful that somebody made a decision, for their benefit rather than thinking about, oh, I hope this poor yak kid doesn't get offended that I don't buy his meat. There's always those little things, and I've trained myself to kind of try and pick those things out. What can I be grateful for? What is the good situation here? This kind of goes on with. I really like when Joe Rogan had on Jocko Willink, and one of the things that Joe Rogan talks about Jocko Willink is there's this great video. I really like it. Joe Rogan really likes it too because he keeps talking about it. By Jocko Willink, called "Good," where Jocko Willink was this. He's like I don't know if he was in the Marines or Navy SEAL or whatever. He's a military guy, and he was obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, but he was in charge of some people, and he always had this guy who would come. People would come and say, hey, this is what's happening, and every time this guy would come in, he'd say, oh, this is what's going wrong, man, Jocko, whatever his title was in the military, and Jocko would be like, good. Finally, the kid's like, well, why do you always say good when I tell you something bad just happened? And, he goes into it. It's like, that means there's no such thing as bad. It's all good. Just because something didn't go the way you wanted it to doesn't mean it's bad. Because, he's like, we failed the mission? Great. We get to try this new strategy. Didn't get the funding? Great. We got to make do with what we got. A challenge is not bad. And that's usually what misfortune is. If you're experiencing downtrodden or something's not going right in your life, it's a challenge. That means it's you get to make it better. You can take it and be like, oh man, this sucks. What can I do about it? Nothing. I'm just gonna wallow in it. I'm not gonna look for the good points in this. I'm not gonna be grateful for what is going right. You can take that mindset, but it sucks. And the mindset that, hey, just because bad things happen doesn't mean that life is bad, and just because things don't go my way all the time doesn't mean that I can't be grateful for what I have. I can't be grateful for what is going right in my life. And, it's much more better. It's much more better. I say some of the worst phrases when I'm talking without a script because I'm thinking a little bit faster than I'm moving my lips, maybe. But it's a much better mindset. It's a much better life to be the guy who says good when bad things happen. And I found that this is what I'm talking about with stoicism, right? It's focusing on your circle of control, and you can't control whether things go right or bad, or good or bad. Maybe to an extent you can influence them, right? But you really don't control the events of the world. You don't really get to decide. You can put effort in, and you can try your best to make something happen, and you can influence, you can control some things, but you're very, very limited on the things that you control. So you can't really control that, you just stubbed your toe. You can try and stop yourself from doing it next time. Can't change the past. You can't make other people do things that you want them to do. Maybe you are manipulative, or you are skilled enough to influence people enough, but you don't control other people. So, and you don't really control, if bad things happen to you. But what you do control is you. You control your reaction. So instead of having the reaction of this is bad, you can change that reaction to, hey, this is good. You can change it to the Jocko Willink mindset and be grateful and recognize the things that you're grateful for. And I think that you will have a much better time. I personally have. I found that recognizing the great things in my life is very positive. I think that life is pretty challenging. I've as I've lived a little bit, I've come to the conclusion that, oh shit, this is hard, and that you just got to deal with it. But like I said, it's easy to get beat down, and no doubt you do it, because I do it still too. Just because I say it's great to be grateful doesn't mean that I don't get caught up in these things. But what I do is I try, and I'm getting better and better as time goes on, is when I get in these situations where I'm ungrateful, first of all, I do like to explore those ungrateful feelings. I like to really understand how I feel. And so I do let myself feel ungrateful, and I try to push myself, the piece that is, the part of me that is upset, to at least express myself. I try not to, be very explosive with my emotions, but I try to express them in healthy ways. So first of all, I try to do that. I think that's beneficial, because, right, if things are going wrong, you don't want to ignore that. You don't want to ignore the things that are going bad, because then you're not going to fix them. And if they don't get fixed, they get worse. And then and it gets worse, then it gets harder. And it gets harder, and it gets worse. So, it's that loop. It's that feedback loop, and you can fall into it. But I try not to. So after I feel the emotion, and usually this comes pretty naturally now, as I wallow down. I'm like, man, this really sucks. And then now I've trained myself to be like, hey, nah, wait a second. But it took a while. I haven't always been that way. I haven't always been so fast to be like, nah, wait a second. This is how you do it. But what I started doing is, when I started feeling bad about things, things aren't going right, I try to be like, hey, listen, I get that, and now I know how you feel. Now look at the good things in life. Now look at what's positive. Now look at what you can do. Because that's where I've always been trying to drive myself towards action, and making a conscious decision, at least. And for me, that comes from stoicism. Sorry, I'm talking so quiet, guys. I'm off the mic. I'll fix this in post, hopefully. But when that thing goes bad, when the car comes, or when the car breaks, I had to deal with, man, this sucks that I don't have a car. It sucks that this piece of shit I keep breaking. And I'm really frustrated right now. But having to turn that around and say, hey, this is a learning experience. This is something that not every kid gets to do. The fact that you're working on this car this much is going to show that you're going to have some expertise in a couple years. In all these things. I don't know. Yeah, what else could I add? But that's really the practice, is when the bad thing happens, you feel the negative emotion, then you catch yourself and you say, hey, is what I'm doing productive? No, and if it isn't, if it is, then hey, keep going. If it's productive, if you're learning something about yourself by exploring this emotion, then yeah, you're doing something productive. But if you're wallowing in it, if it's no longer exploring, if it's no longer expressing, and it gets to the point where it's, what's another word for wallowing? I don't know, but to the point where you're stuck, that's not good, and that's when you need to change, right? But for me, like, this is how I've been able to kind of work with it, is I realized, well, I'm not being productive when I'm stuck in a negative thought loop. And how do I become productive towards what I want in life? How do I get what I want, which is to feel good and to do cool stuff and to help cool people, right? I had throughout the years I've looked at it, I don't like these negative emotions. Now, how do I change it? And that's where it's come from. It's kind of the recognition of what I'm doing right now is not helping me. I'm just being sad. Let's do something that'll help me, which is, be motivated so I can, which is be happy so I'm motivated so I'm able to go get the things done that I want done. And feel how I feel, right? That's where it comes. And then it, falls to, okay, yeah, how am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to focus on the things that are going right instead of the things that are going bad. I'm going to change my focus, so that I'm, in a positive mindset, I guess. I feel like I repeated that, and I apologize. Yakkin with Nick is not always the most concise and clear presentation on ideas, but those are kind of my thoughts on gratitude, and yeah. So let me just talk about some things to be grateful for, maybe. Some more things, because there's a lot of things I'm grateful for, and I since it's Thanksgiving, I want to recognize some of these things. And of course, a lot of it for me comes down to mindsets and the ability to deal with hard things, right? Which is what we're talking about. The ability to be resilient is very powerful. Practicing gratitude is a resiliency strategy, right? It's recovering from a negative mindset. Resiliency is just recovering from any setback, right? So I'm really grateful for things like stoicism, and the mindset that comes from my study of that, kind of the focus on what do I control, and that the challenge is the way, because I've chosen a difficult path and it's rough, guys. I'm having a hard time managing my time. I was supposed to get out a different episode today than this one. I have an interview with my friend Jeremy Hengeller, which will be out either next week or maybe later this week. But I was just saying, yeah, I get lost on I barely even drift off the conversation, my main topic, and then I'm off. But yeah, I'm choosing a difficult path, and if I didn't have the recognition of that's why it's worthy, I wouldn't do it. It's worthy because it's hard, because it's going to challenge me. It's going to make me better, because that's how people get better. That's how every living thing gets better, is if you challenge it, because otherwise they get complacent. Everything does, unless it's given a challenge. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the people that showed me that, School Sucks Project, Bill Bupert, all the people who are continuing to spread those ideas, like Scott Hebert and many other folks who are spreading this really fantastic philosophy with great practices. I'm very grateful for podcasting, the ability to talk to people and then broadcast it out in a way that doesn't need executives is amazing. Because the closest thing this podcasting is the radio, right? But to be on radio, you gotta put in, you gotta jump through some hoops. You gotta do some stuff. The Freedom Fiends, I was lucky to get on terrestrial radio with them as well. But they were able to do it because of people like Free Talk Live and Alex Jones, who started Genesis. I don't know. Maybe he didn't start, I should say. I don't know anything about Genesis Communications Network. But if it weren't for GCN, and I don't think if it weren't for Alex Jones, we wouldn't be there. The podcasting thing has been fantastic for me. It's given me, a kid with nothing, right? I have, I got a microphone from somebody else, and my parents bought me a computer. Maybe I bought my first computer. No. They got me my first computer. I got the laptop. Now I'm on to the second computer. But, I'm very grateful for being able to start that. So I'm grateful for the people that have supported me. Namely Michael Dean, Lusander Fien, the many other people who have assisted me in this project, and I guess naming it also my parents, for supporting me and through all of my journeys, but podcasting has probably been one of the best projects that I've started, one of the best hobbies that I have. There's the wealth of information that I've gained, and you people who have probably listened to Narco-Yakkidalism and Yakkin with Nick, I'm sure you've seen a lot of it too, but I think I get the most out of it. Maybe not, I don't know. But I get a lot of podcasting, and oh, geez, I don't know where Nick Hazelton would be without this. I don't even know if I would have yaks. Who knows? Probably. But I'm very grateful for the opportunities and the people that I've met, and the information I've gained through podcasting. And I think that, yeah, that's been really powerful in my life. I'm, of course, grateful for the farm and that I have the opportunity to start a project like Hazelton Farms and this yak farm. And I've got some other agricultural related projects that, just don't need to be mentioned right now. But the opportunity to do that has come from, being educated by 4-H and having family nearby who have been interested in agriculture and having a history of a very close history of people working with the land and being landowners. So I'm grateful to have the land at my access and the introduction to agriculture from this community, from people in my family to people who live down the road. Beth Hoynacki, who gave me my first job picking blueberries, to Diana Barnhart, my aunt cousin thing. It's a not from inbreeding. I just feel like I have to clarify that. It's that my grandmother was a Barnhart, and so the Barnharts are like my second cousins once removed and like third cousins. So Diana Barnhart is, I believe, my mom's second cousin-in-law. So anyway, she's like but she kind of half raised me. So she's kind of like an aunt, second mom, but she's technically through familial relations my cousin-in-law. It's just one of those random things. But there's just all these people who have helped me out get to where I need to be. And start out in agriculture. There's many people in the libertarian spheres that have helped me. Michael Dean has been one of the greatest giants that I've had the pleasure of shoulders to stand on. I butchered that. I swear, guys. How many times you can find those phrases that I just slightly mess up because I can't get the words right. I don't think I have a speech impediment, but I swear, sometimes I just can't get those right. Standing on for giants. What did I say? Standing on giants of what? This is so stupid. I'm sorry to interrupt the program about gratitude and to express gratefulness to make fun of myself, but I think it's probably fine. You guys don't mind. I'm grateful for you guys to be able to have somebody to throw stuff out to, right? If this fits in with podcasting. If I didn't have an audience, I probably wouldn't do it. If people weren't listening and giving me feedback, I would have given up a long time ago. So I appreciate the folks that have listened, especially folks that have listened since the beginning, like Lane. Who else? There's probably been many others. I'm sure Jim Cunningham has been listening for a while. I know Scotty hasn't. But there's a lot of folks who've saw me in the libertarian movement and said, "Hey, this kid's working on some great shit. Let's support him." Some people through financial compensation, and I really appreciate that because it's been a huge help in keeping the show going. My expenses are now down to I think it's $6 a month for the Libsyn bill. Because you guys on Patreon, I'm very grateful for that. It saves me a lot of money. $13 over 12 months will matter. We've only been using Libsyn for, I don't know, 6 months maybe, but it's considerable, guys. It's more than half, so appreciate it. And there's plenty of other people who have helped me out through jumping in my network. Daryl Becker has been a great person to have in my network. Michael Dean's another one. There's a lot of opportunities I've gotten from people in this libertarian movement. People who I've talked about, who have had a lot of discussion on ideas. This is where I grew up, was in that, I intellectually grew up with the libertarians as I was as a teenager. I still am really growing up with libertarians, right? That was my influence, was you fuckers in the anarcho-capitalist movement, poisoning my mind with unhealthy doses of individualism. I need to do a show on individualism and some of my mindset that I've changed. I'm becoming more of a collectivist. Just kidding. There's more nuance to that, but I won't talk about it today. I'm very grateful for, I guess, every opportunity I've been given. I'm very thankful for the challenges life has thrown me. I haven't gotten too many and it hasn't been too hard, but I've gotten a few and still dealing with some. But, as hard as it is, as hard as the yak farming is, as hard as it is to be an entrepreneur and to bring up sales while trying to get projects done and do a podcast and still have fun with life and still explore and learn. Even though that's hard, it's pretty fantastic, man. I'm really grateful for the opportunity, because this is like, it doesn't matter, like, to me, like, it could be hard. Like, there's just no way I'm going to give up, because the alternative is worse. I know what school is like. That sucks. So I'm really grateful that I had the courage and had the encouragement and the ability and the safety net to fall back on to drop out of school and start building this life for myself. And guys, I'm grateful for the opportunity to do cool shit and help people. Man, I love that quote. I'm really glad that Matt and Jeremy found that in there. I'm gonna start using that a lot more. But guys, that's all I want to say. I could go on and on forever. You know me. I like to ramble about random shit, but thanks for listening. I'm grateful for you, and I hope that you take some time and say thanks to whatever you believe in. Just appreciate life, folks, because you only get one. We don't necessarily know that, but you know what I mean. Okay, guys, I will talk to you later, and have a nice Thanksgiving with your folks, and don't eat too much.